بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وآله وأزواجه وذريته أجمعين اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم أرنا حقائق الأشياء كما هي اللهم أرنا حقائق الأشياء كما هي اللهم أرنا حقائق الأشياء كما هي. Okay. So, to begin with a definition, so he's going to define capitalist society. But I don't think he has defined capitalism, so capitalist society. So there would be a sort of circularity in his definition, but let's see. To begin with a definition, a capitalist society is a society that has instituted its economy in a capitalist manner. Okay, so that's a bit of circularity in that it has coupled, so now explaining capitalist manner, in that it has coupled its material provision to the private accumulation, to the private accumulation. Okay. Now the whole question is whether there's any such thing as private accumulation of capital. There is in a sense, and there isn't in a sense. So we will get to that, inshallah. So in that it has coupled its material provision to the private accumulation of capital measured in a unit of money. Through free contractual exchange in markets. Formally free. Meaning of freedom is important. Driven by individual calculations of utility. So there's a footnote saying a broader concept would emphasize the historical connection in modern capitalism between this civilization impulse of modernity toward methodical improvement of life, like progress, individual freedom and technological mastery of nature on the one hand, and the possessive individualism on that's liberalism, yeah, market exchange on the other. Okay, so let's look at this definition. So a society may be said to be capitalist or one under capital due to its dependence for its sustenance on the successful accumulation of privately is next question, privately appropriated capital. Calling a society capitalist also implies that it is as a society at the risk of social relations governing its economy, penetrating into that's the consequence. So let's look at the definition first. Okay, so capitalist society is a society that has instituted its economy in a capitalist manner, in that it has coupled its material provision to private accumulation of capital. So that's the first important phrase. So private accumulation, so first we need to say what is accumulation, obviously, and what is capital. Because capital would be defined in terms of accumulation. So we will define capital as something which is accumulated for its own sake, or whose sole purpose is to accumulate itself. So anything can be capital in that sense. So that's why a machine is For example, machine is capital because machine you don't sell it and buy a machine as such, but purpose of machine is to accumulate. There's no other purpose of machine. That's why it's called capital. But money can be capital. So the same thing can be capital and non-capital. So money is capital when it accumulation of becomes its sole purpose. So obviously these are abstractions or ideal types because most of the time you don't find those sort of purities in the real world. So money, you still need some money to spend on yourself, your kids, etc. But if the predominant purpose of money is to accumulate, then that money is capital. But the money, if its sole purpose or predominant purpose is not accumulation, then that money is not capital. So capital is anything whose sole purpose is to multiply itself. That's what capital is. Okay, so now getting back to the phrase. So accumulation of capital just simply means accumulation of things whose sole purpose is to multiply themselves. But the main question here is whether capital can be, or accumulation of capital can be private. That's the thing. And our answer is no. Why? For the simple reason. Because when you call something private, it means that it is subservient to your will. But accumulation of capital is not subservient to your will. It's the predefined purpose. And the other thing is, if you dedicate yourself to accumulation for the sake of accumulation, then this whole process doesn't follow your will. But your will eventually becomes subservient to this non-stoppable or unstoppable force of accumulation. That's why you can start as a private capitalist. But as capitalism matures, there's no such thing as private capital, to the extent that everyone in the system is the tool of accumulation. And to the extent that this capital is private, it is a limit on accumulation. That's why historically capitalism always moves toward monopolies, towards companies, corporations, limited companies, and the whole conception of the company as a person, etc., legal person, etc., attests to this fact that there can't be any there can't be any private accumulation of capital as such. It's a misnomer. So when they say private accumulation of capital, the association of those entities which are willing to dedicate themselves to capital accumulation. Okay, so let's go back to the text a bit. So, to be capitalist society is a society that has instituted its economy in a capitalist manner, in that it has coupled its material provision to the private accumulation of capital, measured in a unit of money through free contractual exchange in markets driven by individual calculations of utility. Okay, so let's look at the instituted its economy in a capitalist manner. It has coupled its material to the private accumulation of capital, material provision, and then units of money and the free contractual exchange of market. Measured in money. The accumulation is measured in money. But money is of two types. Money as a capital and money as non-capitalist money. So owning money which is dedicated to capital accumulation is a capitalist money. So we are talking about capitalist money. So capitalist society is a society that it has its economy in a capital, in that it has coupled its material provision to the private accumulation measured in units. So money, at least initially, provide an objective measure of the exchange value of something. An exchange value is the value of a commodity as far as it's capable of accumulation for its own sake. So, and so money is not merely a medium of exchange as it in non-capitalist system, but money is a measure of exchange value. That is, it tells you value of a commodity as to its potential for accumulation. But as capitalism matures, money itself is accumulated and becomes part of the whole process of accumulation for the sake of accumulation, and there's no objectivity left as such, except the anonymous power of accumulation which has overtaken individuals and society as such. Okay, so the main concept remains capital. Money is important as because of its historical role, as well as its ability to become capital itself, its high liquidity. But as capitalism progresses, money, first the metallic money fades away, or its value become its value becomes secondary in the system, and then paper money obviously overtakes, and now paper money is fading away, and now there are only dots in a machine, really, because the main concept is capital, that is accumulation for the sake of accumulation. Okay, so everything has a use value. Apple you eat, that's its use value. An exchange value of an apple is how many apples you can make out of this one apple. That's its exchange value. So exchange value becomes dominant in capitalism, and use value becomes secondary and marginal and minimal. An exchange value of a thing is what defines capital, what defines its potential as potential for accumulation for the sake of accumulation. So if we redefine capital in a way which will make the status of money also clear, we can do this in saying the capital is exchange value in motion. In motion, why? Because it's a value which is trying to multiply itself. So capital is exchange value in motion. Value which is forever seeking surplus value. So it is trying to multiply itself perpetually. And in doing this, it does whatever, taking the form of money, at one moment, because that's what required for accumulation or multiplying, and commodities at another moment. So that's what capital is, the exchange value in motion, a value which is forever seeking to multiply itself. It takes different form, become money and then commodity. But what defines it is this blind and incessant and insatiable search to multiply itself. So in that sense, money is not a thing in capitalism. Money is a thing, but money is a thing in non-capital society, but as a capital, it is not a thing. It is a process. It is exchange value. It is capital. So when he says that measured in terms of money, to a certain extent, that's a historical process, but then this objective measure itself become part of the process of accumulation. So there's no external measure except this internalization of the whole process of accumulation within a society and states, etc. So this force of capital overtakes individual, society, and state itself. And to the extent it does, it is a capitalist society, it is a capitalist state, it is a capitalist individual. There's no objectivity as such, because everything is engulfed in this overwhelming, transcending, anonymous force to which people have kick-started it, but it overtakes you in that sense. It is anonymous. It's not personal in that sense. Private accumulation is a misnomer in a sense. So, to begin with the definition, capitalist society is a society that has instituted its economy in a capitalist manner, in that it has coupled its material provision to the private accumulation of capital. So it might have started with providing material provision, but that no longer is the main purpose. The purpose, material provision and the whole distinction between material and immaterial fades away anyway. And we have pure emptiness in the sense that accumulation for the sake of accumulation overtakes everything, engulfs everything. So to begin with a definition, a capitalist society is a society that has instituted its economy in a capitalist manner, in that it has coupled its material provision to the private accumulation of capital, measured in units of money. So the money also become subservient to this through free. So we'll continue from here, inshallah. I think we can stop here for now. Assalamu alaikum.